Miss G, I'm offering a couple Google Sheets text or tech tips, right? It's just some that made my Google Sheets look a little nicer and a little bit easier to digest, and features that I was like, whoa, that's actually cool. I never knew I needed that. The first thing that I really like about it is that this top box looks exactly like it does on Google Docs / Slides, right? So as far as typing into a box and editing what goes on in that box, I like that the formatting options look exactly the same. So that area shouldn't freak you out. And if you're like, wow, how did people get all these cool things to happen? Mine only types in like size 12 Arial. Just know that you can literally adjust it the same way you would on anything else. So that's my first little tip. Second thing would be merging cells. So let's say I'm going to end up splitting student names in a second, but let's say I want this like student name column header to look nice and spread across 2 columns. Well, I can highlight the 2 columns I want it to take up, come up to format, click merge cells, and we can choose vertical cells, horizontal cells, or like a little block and do a batch of cells if we would like to do it that way. I'm just going to click merge all for here. So what it did is it took A and B and it combined them. So when I fill in this color, you can see that they are now taking up both of those columns. I can do this cool formatting thing where I put it in the middle and we boost the size a little bit. And there we go. Now it looks like this beautiful header. Right? And so that's like a way that works. There we go. That's what I wanted, was a little box. So that's cool. And then the other thing that I really like was like sometimes we have a roster printed and it's got our last name and our first name and they're both in one box for our students or something like that. And that like stresses me out because the thought of having to go back and type everybody's first name separately freaks me out. So what I learned is that in 2 clicks I could fix that. So I did my name in the first box and then example student just to kind of show you. But I could have a whole roster of students, for example, where everything is in box A right now, right? And I want to split it so A is last name and B is first name, right? I can highlight those boxes, come up to data, and we can just go split text to columns. And it has an automatic feature, but you can also choose, do you want to split by a comma, semicolon, period, space? In this case, I'm going to choose space. And now you see it push those over into different columns. So my favorite thing about that is that for some reason, some learning systems that I use, it sorts the kids by first name, and then I'm like, okay, cool, this is hard to grade. Well, I could do this, sort the spreadsheet, right, and then sort them by first name, and then I could come over here and then sort them back by last name when I like input it into our grade book and stuff. So for me, that's been really helpful because there's just a lot of different sorting systems based on all the technology that we're using, and I like being able to do that in a few clicks. And then my other sort of thing that I wanted to show was, so for example, on Google Forms, and if I go do a free response in any way, we're going to see like boxes that happen like this, where if you have something happen in this column, which is column D, if this text is going to roll over into the area of column E, but if something is in column E, it now hides that, and I'm like, I just want to see what everybody wrote, okay? So if you highlight the students, the whole like block, so let's say it like came all the way down the page, right, which it could do sometimes. Oops, let me scroll back up. But for this example, I just have a little bit. Highlight all those areas, right? And then we're going to come up to this area. We see some arrows going on. All right, so if we click the middle one that says text wrapping, it's going to give us some options. We have this overflow, which is what it naturally sets it at, and that's why words get hidden. But you have this text wrap option, which is great. And then this last one that I never use, which basically like cuts it and you have to click on the box to see what's going on. But text wrap is probably what we want to see, at least I do as a teacher, because now look at that beauty. I can see my students' actual like whole response in one thing. And now that is going to make our sheet like longer if they type a long response in it, but I would rather be able to see that each kid typed their whole response than have to like click on it to read across, or like reformat this so that I can't see stuff because we dragged the box so far. So that text wrap feature is great. And then the other thing, and this is maybe just me being a little bit nitpicky, but like next to that text wrapping is this vertical align box. For some reason, it stock sets it at the bottom, which is like ugly. But you can choose to center it or push it to the top, which is my personal favorite. And now, like the way that this looks to me is a lot better than how it was before. And so then also, like if you're in a sheet and you need space to type or you want to see your whole response because it was doing that text wrapping thing, that's an easy way to kind of like sort that information for you. So those are just a couple Google Sheets tips that I feel like are helpful.